on all your success at South by Southwest. You had two projects premiere.
Thank you.
How was that like to premiere both of those there?
Oh my God, it was so fun. It was actually my first time at South by Southwest.
I do.
So, yeah. So to have two projects was just like so fun. And especially within the same weekend, within the same 3-day period, it was just exciting and fun. I loved the energy of South by Southwest, and I loved celebrating two different projects with the people I love. So, yeah.
Yes. So isn't your Bloody Hell isn't your typical coming of age story. What attracted you to the project?
Hmm. Well, there was a lot of things that attracted me to the project. So first and foremost, I met Molly while I was filming a different project. So Molly was one of the directors on a TV series that I was working on, called The Big Door Prize, and she directed the second block of it. And after meeting me, I remember she like came up to me one day, and for some reason, I was like, it was so cryptic and kind of scary. And I was like, wait, why is she coming up to me? And she was like, I have something to talk to you about. And I was like, okay. And she's like, but we can't do it right now. And I was like, okay. She ended up calling me like 2 weeks later after her block wrapped and was like, oh yeah, that like cryptic thing that I said to you 2 weeks ago. I actually kept on thinking of you for this character in my feature that I'm filming this summer. And I was like, oh. And she was like, yeah. And I was wondering if you wanted to be in my movie. So I didn't audition for the role. She was just kind of like, you're Viv. But when she sent me the script and when she told me about the project, I felt so passionate about telling her story that I was like, there was no way that I could not take that opportunity. Um, I mean, she's been through so much, and the story is so beautiful, and it is semi autobiographical, but like hearing the things that she's been through and reading it on paper and then meeting lovely Maddie and just connecting and falling in love on her floor eating tacos in LA, I was just like, yeah, let's do this.
How was it like to basically have a director go like, you're this character? Because I'm sure usually you audition, especially early on in your career. Like, what was that like?
um yeah, it was really interesting because it was really early on in my career. It is really early on in my career. uh it was definitely very flattering. It was also definitely very interesting because I am not Viv. But I would like to consider myself a really fun, sexy teen best friend, maybe minus the teen, but like, yeah, I mean, I definitely had such a fun time playing her, and Molly knew that I could like add a bit of fun to her story and add some playfulness to the traumatic elements of the traumedy. So
Yeah.
yeah, it was just so flattering, and I was just like really, really excited to take it on.
Yes. It seems from your career thus far that you kind of go out your way to not do like typical young adult roles. Is that something you keep in mind when pursuing different projects?
Yeah, for sure.
And why do you go about it that way?
Ah, I think that I think that nowadays the average teen can be written in a way sometimes that's not really authentic and real.
Mhm.
And I love taking on projects where the teens breathe like real teenage life, like real teenager life into the roles, but also telling stories about people who are queer. I'm a queer person. And so that was a really, really important part of being a part of this project as well. But yeah, yeah, like I just like to play characters that aren't your average, haven't lived your average life. Maybe that's not the best way to put it, but yeah.
I get it totally. Not your stereotypical teenage,
Yeah.
what you see on there is something that actually teenagers go through each day, which is kind of
Yeah.
complicated and messy and not
Totally.
totally packaged together in a super nice way. Because Viv is, well, she's complicated. Like, I'm like, is she a good friend? Or is she just kind of like your average teenage friend in real life that she's supportive of you, but sometimes she doesn't make the best decisions, but she has your back, kind of. Like, how would you describe Viv?
I think Viv like has your back. She's I think she's unapologetic. I think she's very fun, but I think she's also like dealing with the same insecurities that every person who's over the age of 12 is dealing with. Um she's free, she's fun, she's playful, but she's performative. She is trying on this sexy act.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and that's one of the things that Molly and I talked about before shooting the film. I don't know, she's great. And it was really interesting because I met the actual person who she was based off of at South by Southwest. Her name is Megan. Yeah.
That's crazy. Yeah. Did you know anything about the medical condition? I don't want it to sound anything wrong because there's nothing wrong with it, but did you know anything about MAKH before doing this role?
I actually hadn't heard of MRKH before I did this role. But Molly explained it to me in our first phone call that we had, where she asked me to do this role. And then throughout my time before filming this project, I dove really deep into understanding it and understanding the community of, um, you know, assigned female at birth people who are dealing with this condition on a daily basis. Asked Molly a lot of questions. I mean, she's such an open book and she's so brave for having put this project out there. But yeah, all this so long-winded to say, no, I hadn't heard of it before. But more people need to know about it. I don't know why I hadn't heard of it before.
Yeah. I feel like there might be like a lot of shame behind it. And it
Mm.
also feels like watching the movie, like what I learned from it, it feels like there's a lot of shame within the medical community, as in, like, okay, this is a quote unquote problem that needs to be fixed. And another thing that I took away from the movie is, especially I feel like starting as teenagers, but even in adult life, like how much our biology and our body feels like it has to be this connected experience with everyone, and that we have to share literally everything that's going on with our body, and that it's assumed that that has to be so much a part of our identity. Did you kind of go through that as a teenager as well?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, sorry, could you maybe rephrase the question a little bit?
Sure. Like the whole idea of puberty, especially in the movie, makes it seem like it's such a public experience, and like some of the characters talking about their period and their sexual experiences, and it makes it seem like your body is so much a part of your identity, like your physical body, rather than how you're growing and developing as a person overall. Did you have like a similar experience or kind of notice that when looking back in like your teen years?
I think in a large way, yes, especially because I grew up like dancing as well. So you're kind of forced to identify a lot with your body, um, and kind of try to turn it into this indestructible, powerful, strong thing, all the while going through puberty, going through maybe having sex for the first time, going through all of these like weird little animal things. But but as I've like gotten into like my early 20s, it's been like very healing to like work on roles that are about people who are like in that period of time, and maybe different experiences that are different from the ones that I necessarily had. It's kind of like inner child healing to like experience all of these different things that you're talking about, but through not being Djouliet Amara. Does that make sense?
It does make sense for sure. It's something I feel like I didn't really think about while being that age, but watching it as an adult, I'm like, that was actually really traumatic and not something I feel like any young adult should have to go through. Like it was just a lot. But one of my favorite scenes in the movie is the Halloween party, well, the costume party. What was it like shooting that scene? I heard you guys shot that pretty late into the night.
Yeah, I was like, how delirious was I during that scene? Yeah, it was really, really fun. I got to play Friday Adams, which wouldn't have been like Djouliet Amara's personal choice of like Halloween costume for herself, but it's so viv. I mean, it was really fun. There was a lot of extras. There was a lot of people. The vibes were great. It was really funny, like pretending to be slightly intoxicated, but being completely sober. Halloween scenes like that are always really fun. That was my second Halloween scene that I've ever shot. So.
Oh, wow. Well, you said the Friday Adams when it had been your costume. What is your kind of ideal costume that you would pick today?
It would be something that like I wouldn't be able to tell you right now, because as an Aquarius, I would try to like find the most like niche, like interesting random costume that like nobody else has done before. Yeah.
As a Sagittarius, even though I'm a fire sign, I'm the same way. I totally understand what you're saying.
Yeah, I'm glad that you're into astrology and that like we understood what that meant.
Oh, for sure. I love being a Sagittarius, and you can talk about being Aquarius because it feels so aspirational. Like Sagittarians seem cooler than I actually am.
I love Sagittarians. Oh, amazing.
How do you kind of relate to being an Aquarius?
Oh my God. Like being this like creative little alien, I feel like that is truly me. Like I mean, if there's one thing that I have felt throughout being a teenager, it's been like feeling completely like strange and like not from this planet in a strange way. And like of course like the Aquarius thing where like people are really, really artistic. I love like creating art. Like I have all my little like art projects on the side that I do, and the little things that I make in my little writings. But yeah, definitely feeling like alien species from another planet, like for sure.
And what do you hope people take away from this movie?
So much. The whole movie? No. I I really want them to sit with and think about Molly's story or Lindy's story, and have the conversations about this condition, about different conditions that people can have when they're born, and normalize it, but also understand the trauma and be sensitive about these conditions to people around. And obviously I want them to take away the like extraordinary performances of like my cast and the sensitivity and the boldness and all of those things.
Yes, for sure. It's such a beautiful story. But thank you so much for taking time to talk to me. I hope to talk to you about future projects. Congrats. I know the big door is coming out, so I'm really excited about seeing that project. And I can't wait to talk to you about other projects as well.
Okay.
Awesome. Thank you.
I would love to.
Oh, for sure. For sure. I'll reach out.
Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you. You have a good one.
You too.
Okay. Bye.